Hello? Is this thing on?
Welcome to Trending, the podcast that examines the latest trends in fashion, beauty, and lifestyle.
We're your hosts, Tinsley and Dalian, and we're here to give you the inside scoop on how to adapt, ditch, or embrace the latest trends.
Whether you're a fashionista looking to stay ahead of the curve, a millennial just trying to keep up with Gen Z, or you're someone who wants to stay informed about what's hot and what's not, we've got you covered.
So sit back, relax, and join us as we dive into the world of trending fashion, beauty, and friendship. So off topic, I'm looking at my apartment and I'm like,
We haven't even gotten to the topic.
I actually thought that made you sound really good.
We're gonna use this podcast to hype ourselves up.
I know. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Trending with Dalian and Tinsley. This week, we are going to talk about unemployment and how it actually is trending. Dalian and I both mentioned last week that we were unemployed, and that came as a surprise to both of us. Dalian was definitely more taken aback than me, definitely more blindsided. For me, I knew that it was coming, but didn't necessarily think that I would be affected. So here we are. Dalian, do you have any thoughts?
I have thoughts.
You have many thoughts, but what's going through your mind today? You're 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks out? So
It
6.
feels like it's been a long time. Like you were telling me earlier when we were talking about this, I don't want this to be super negative, but you were like, this is trending.
Mhm.
It is. There's like I don't know, this is the exact naming of it because I'm not on TikTok that often, but it's like what unemployment talk. Like there's a side of TikTok right now that's like blowing up with content about interviewing for jobs, like tips to use AI to write your resumes and cover letters. Like, AI can help you practice for an interview. Like, and I'm like learning all this stuff on TikTok, and then like on TikTok, there's also all these just stories. I don't know. Are you looking at this? There's some people that even recorded the moment they got let go.
I
Yeah.
actually did record the moment that it happened
You
because
did?
I did. I haven't
On
put
your
it anywhere.
computer?
I haven't done that. Like it was right after it happened, so it wasn't like in the moment because I like was so shocked I couldn't really think to, record the meeting where it was happening.
What
But
prompted you to record the moment after?
I think it was just a raw moment of like shock and wanting other people to feel connected because it's a moment of vulnerability and just saying, like, hey, this happened to me. I'm trying to be hush hush about it because I just don't want to ruffle any feathers in this process after getting let go.
Okay, so let's talk about that because to me that's been odd. It's been an odd feeling. I've always heard that you're not supposed to speak negatively about an employer that you just left. I've just always heard that it's not professional, you shouldn't do it. And there is some conversation going on the internet that's like basically F that.
Totally. I've seen that too. And obviously with all of the like, I mean,
What do you think?
I'm not gonna name it word for word, but of course there are people talking about I used to work for blah blah blah, and this is all the stuff that went down, and they're airing out all their dirty laundry on TikTok. Sometimes that's effective. I feel like there's a lot to be said. However, I just think it causes more stress and it doesn't allow you to move on if
Yeah.
you're hung up on it and you're trying to make it a bigger deal than it needs to be.
Well, so how do you move on?
Well, I don't know how you move on. You
I think that's the
internalize it.
hardest part.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to get closure right away. Maybe not for a long time because I don't have any answers. I don't know why it
Mhm.
happened. I don't know the timeline. I don't know what people's thoughts were. I don't know who was involved. I just think like I'm gonna have to do the self-work to move past it. And I think that's gonna look like me going back to therapy.
I
Yeah.
think the hardest thing is some of the unexpected feelings and emotions that come up afterwards, your mind sort of, you can just get trapped and lost in the like, would have, could have, should have, what if, what do people think about me? Why did this happen? Like, it's just, it's such a negative cycle that you can get
Mhm.
stuck in when that happens to you. And that to me, the hardest part has been pulling myself out of that mode
Yeah.
and looking forward to what is next for me and try and just keeping laser focused on creating the reality and the life that I want around me. Knowing that whatever the circumstances were that led to me getting let go, it all was what was supposed to happen, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, same for me too. I mean, the first thing that people told me whenever I said I got let go, whether this was the right thing to say or not, they said, "Well, you needed to go anyway." And there's part of me that's like, yeah, I would agree, you know, of course, thanks for noticing, but also it was frustrating at the time when that was the one piece, that was the one comment I got. And like the first comment I got, it's just not very comforting. And so we can also talk about like like how you are there for someone, how you support someone who's going through this, because I've experienced some good reactions and some reactions that it's not that they weren't good, it's just that they weren't the most helpful.
So, what has been helpful? Is there, if anything?
I don't know, there was a coworker that immediately sent me money on Venmo and just said
Oh,
treat money or something, which I don't need for everyone to get me a present, but it was just so sweet in the moment that like she couldn't do anything from
right.
afar. So this was like the one thing, one action she could take that really meant something to me in the moment. And also just checking in on me. I just think the best thing you can do is to like be a listening ear and to not
Yeah.
be quick about inserting your opinions and to keep
Yeah.
checking in because it's a continual grieving process. Like I'm getting
Yeah.
over the fact that I'm not returning to work at the same place that I've worked for the last 6 years.
Yeah, and your situation is really different than mine too, because that was the job that is your career. Like you spent your career thus far with that company, and that's a really, really long time. And obviously,
Yeah.
you make a huge investment, and it just has been a part of some pivotal moments in your life.
Hmm.
And you've made friends, you've built relationships. I wasn't exactly in the same position in terms of feeling attached to people, but I did have a dear friend who happened to be a coworker. Um, she sent me a succulent, and it was like the brightest like little piece of joy, and it was from a
Yeah.
company. I'll have to look it up, but the box, on the outside of the box, the branding was amazing. It said something like a little bit of happiness, and
Oh,
it was just like it was the right thing in the right
yeah.
moment, and it really was meaningful to me as well.
It's like the first time I've ever had any time that I'm just not working a full-time job. And I'm like, let's create content. That's like a side hustle, a passion of mine. And I don't have any clothes right now. I truly feel like I don't have any clothes to style to make the content. So every day I'm like motivated. I'm like, you know what? I was always working from home and I would always be like on my computer all day long, but I'd be like staring into my bedroom and in my closet. I'm like, I want to make content. I wish I had this time to make content. Now that I finally do, I'm in there and I'm like, wait, I can be creative with what I have, but I've already done that. I've been doing that. Like I need some fresh stuff and I don't have the money for it. So, and
Well,
just like you, yeah, we can talk about like if
I was gonna say, tell our listeners if they don't yet follow you on TikTok, they should. But like give the context of like what kind of, because when you were like, I don't have any clothes, and then you started talking about content creation, even though I follow you on TikTok, I was like, what is she talking about?
Oh, because my TikTok is, is it's growing. We've started it, but no,
What do you do? Like, what is your content about?
I just style clothing, which is basically every other girl on TikTok. But for me, I've always been about making the most with the least. And I've always had a clothing budget, and it's 175 a month, which for a lot of the girls where I live in New York, that's like a drop in the bucket. And I've been learning, I've been in New York for 6 months. I've been learning how to navigate living in New York while having 175 a month. And now that I'm not working, this is only, the first month. So I'm like, okay, I'll continue to have the same clothing budget this month. Um, I've always been really good at being really creative with my closet, and I grew up with not a lot of money. My parents wouldn't buy me just whatever I wanted. I had to figure out how to make my closet work. And I've always done really well. I think recently I've hit a point where I feel like a lot of the clothes in my closet have been there for maybe 5, 10 years. And sadly, I think I've styled them 1,000 ways and that's it. Like at some point, I do feel like saying you don't have a lot of clothing is a valid argument. Because with my budget, that means I'm only getting about 12 pieces a year, if that. Because of the way that I like to shop, I like to shop slower fashion. I don't like to do a lot of fast fashion. I shop quality over quantity. So if I'm getting 12 pieces a year, I am wearing those pieces all the time to the point where, like, even my husband notices, like, oh yeah, your green sweater, your blue shoes, your it's like it's at that point right now. And thank God I have been renting clothes and I've been using one specific service, and it just so happened to work out that where the month or the week that I was let go, of course, I'm already like, oh my gosh, how am I going to buy clothes? I got a free month. And so that really helped me out. And then I just actually got 2 more months for free. So that'll be a huge help. And
Is
then
that because of your content creation for Newly?
yeah, I just
How did
signed.
you get that? Please tell.
Well, because you guys got to know, like I don't have a lot of followers, but that's mainly because I haven't
You
put
will.
out. Thank you. We're manifesting that. I have been spending all my time working a full-time job and never having a break. And now I finally have the break and I'm really motivated and passionate about growing it. Before I was let go, I just was making a lot more content because I was in New York. I didn't really have a social life. I don't know anyone here. I was using my time to create content outside of work instead of hanging out or being with my husband, who now works a different schedule. So I just kept tagging them over and over again, and they noticed, and I got a month free for making just one video, even though I had made a lot of videos. However, yeah, I signed up for a program and I'm gonna get 2 months additional for free, which is a huge blessing because that actually, like, I do have a bit of severance, and that'll be like my severance period. So, my intention is to get a job before that severance period is up, but this is definitely a huge help right now.
That's
And Dahlia,
amazing.
I know that you've been doing, or you did, rent one time, and that was mainly for work purposes for what you are trying to do.
I rented, and I love renting clothing, by the way, and I'm so
So
happy you turned me on to Newly.
I'm taking everyone onto it.
I'm a big fan and promoter of it as well. Just, mouth mouth to mouth. That's not the right word.
Yeah, what is
Word
that?
of mouth.
Word of mouth, mouth to mouth. We're
Word
giving
of
word of mouth.
mouth. It's a CPR reference. Anyway.
I'm like, uh, uh, staying alive, you know? Did you? No, you never
Yes.
had a job like that.
Yeah, yes. Okay, so anyway, I actually had an of old coworker who also she did told me about Newly a while ago and I was skeptical. And
Okay,
you
so it
were
wasn't
like
me.
well, no, you were the second push. Like she had introduced me to it every time she'd come into the office. So this is 2019.
Oh,
Every
wow.
time she'd come into the office, I'd be like, "Oh, I love that top," and she'd be like, "It's Nuuly." And then I like everything she would wear, and I would compliment it. She would tell me it was Nuuly.
Mhm.
And then you were like, "Dalian, you've got to get on Nuuly," and I was like, "Okay, I'm." And so I tried it, and it. I had always tried to do subscription service boxes, the ones like Nordstrom came out with a program at one point in time,
Yeah.
and I had always tried to do those things and just basically hated it because I wouldn't get it back on time or felt pressured to like buy pieces. Anyway, Newly so much better because you get to just keep it for the 6 weeks. And and every time I'm like, I'm gonna buy something. And then by the end of 6 weeks, I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to let this go. And
Totally.
that is growth for me personally
Gross.
in my
That's
closet struggles. Yeah, it's growth. But this time, I rented all blazers because I was like, I need a blazer. I want a blazer. And but I don't know if I'm gonna keep one. I
oh,
struggle with the blazer.
yeah.
I struggle. I'm gonna try them on again because I tried them on this morning in the dark at like 8 o'clock.
In the dark.
Um, yeah. Uh, and so I'm gonna try one again in the daylight and just see, but I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. And maybe it needs to be tailored.
I
I,
think I have the perfect one for you, actually. I'll
you'll have to send me the
I'll show
link.
it to you later. Yeah. I have
But
one.
going,
Yeah.
I want to see it. But I was gonna say going all the way back to the point.
What was the point again?
You branded this period in our life as fun employment because I hate the word unemployment.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I I'm not unemployed and you're not unemployed. We're just now self-employed. Even though the revenue hasn't necessarily started coming in, we get like us doing this is a direct result of getting let go. And
Right.
so we're not just, sitting around doing nothing and, napping and moping all day, which I don't think a lot of people are doing that anyway, but that sort of was my instinct at first was like to feel sorry for myself
Yeah.
and to be able to take that feeling and turn it into art and turn it into creating the content that lights me up has been the redemption of it all. And so, I mean, I hope you feel the same, but I
Yeah.
just feel proud of myself.
I'm really proud of you. And I know I keep saying that, but Dalian, like, day two was just, I think I was more emotional than you, but you also shielded me from that and you really internalized more than me. But yeah, I'm so proud of you because you right away were like, no, I'm not sitting in this. I'm gonna take life into my own hands. I'm tired of going by what everyone else says. I want to do my own thing. I'm skilled enough. I'm talented enough. You just really believed that you were enough to do your own thing. And even if you couldn't see past 2 weeks, you were like, no, I'm doing it. And I feel like it really motivated me. And so whenever it happened for me, I was like, thank God I have someone to go through this with. Thank God I have someone to relate to and like who's already kind of laid out the path because I do have a tendency to sit in my feelings and to feel sorry for myself and I am more pessimistic and I think that it's okay to be that way if that's where you're finding yourself when you're unemployed, if you get let go, if you choose to leave.
Yes.
But for me, I've already been working on not sitting in negative feelings. Like I said, I moved to New York 6 months ago. I was in Nashville. Nashville was such a dry desert land for the fashion industry. I didn't have any options. I felt so stuck. So part of the reason I came was to find a different opportunity.
Yes.
And I think that had I still been in Nashville and this happened to me, I probably would have sat in my feelings a little bit more because
Yeah.
I don't think that there would have been as much opportunity for me. I would have still done my own thing, and that's what I'm
Yes.
focusing on now, but I do plan on finding something else here. I just I'm excited that I kind of have some time off to do my own thing and then to give myself a foundation and then move on to another full-time job just because, I am here. I'm ready to take an opportunity here, and I don't know that I'll be here forever, so why not? But I actually have been busier than ever. It's been 3.5 weeks, I guess 3 weeks probably, but I have been going nonstop.
Yeah.
Like I have been rushing from one thing to the next to the point where I'm like, how did I ever have a full-time job? I'm
I,
staying so busy.
I've never been busier. And I'm trying to start a business. But I, even before, I was like, I wanted to be out and about. I wanted to meet with
Yeah,
people that I love. Um, I wanted to network. I wanted to go to things.
yeah.
And I sort of feel like post pandemic, I was sort of like I've sort of been like ramping up my social activities and pushing myself outside of my comfort zone a bit because I became a bit antisocial
Hmm.
and was just super happy to like sit in my pajamas all day and work from home. And
Yep,
I still, I mean, I'm ride or die work from home. But
absolutely.
but when you're out and about and you're meeting with people you actually like and that you actually want to work with and everything is your choice and you don't feel like you're being mandated to come into an office twice a week or once a week or whatever. I mean, it just changes the whole name of the game. Like I'll go out and be about all day when it's on my own terms.
Yeah. I
And I
wake up.
think that's the thing is like before I was on someone else's terms
Hmm.
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, essentially. And now I'm on my own terms fully.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing feeling. I have to say, I mean, do you feel that way? Or do you still sometimes feel, I mean, there were days in the beginning where that was a bit scary,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
now it's just like liberating.
it is. I came home today from being out and about, which I'm still in my period of taking a break. I'm not so focused on the job hunt right now.
Yeah.
I'm not starting my own business like you. Of course, I've been creating more content and trying to focus on that. But I was just out and about today in New York, and of course, this is the best weather I've had since I've been here. And I was just thinking about, oh my gosh, I used to sit inside all day on my laptop, feeling so trapped and almost imprisoned in my apartment. And I would have missed out on that this week. I just feel like this is the silver lining. I'm trying to find the silver lining. I would have missed out on all of this great spring weather. I just used to feel so, I don't know, discouraged when I would wake up in the morning. It's like I started my day off already feeling behind.
Hmm.
I already felt like there was so much I wanted to do for myself and my family, my apartment, and I couldn't because I was just chained down to my laptop from nine
Hmm.
to five. And then after that, of course, everybody has a different schedule after work. For me, I'm like very traditional schedule. Yeah, I just feel so liberated that I get to wake up and do what I want to do. And it's not like I sit and watch TV all day. I actually watch less TV now. because I'm out, I'm doing things, I'm creating, I'm walking, I'm meeting people.
Yeah.
And there's so many people in New York. I don't know how it is in Atlanta, but a lot of people in New York work on different schedules because a lot of people are self-employed or are in the creative industry. And there would be people that I was trying to meet up with. I'm trying to make friends, and I would have to be like, "Can you meet me at 7:30 in the morning? Or can
Yeah.
you meet me from 12:15 to 12:45 so I can allow myself the time to get down there and get back before my hour break is up? Or can you meet me at 5:30?" It was so limiting, and now I feel so free. I'm like, "Yeah, meet me anytime. 10, 1, And I
I'm
know that
free all day. Yeah.
forever. I know. I'm soaking it in for sure because I realize how privileged I am to say that right now. But yeah, I love just choosing what I want to do for my day, for my life, and not working for somebody else when at the end of the day, they'll let you go in a second.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to separate work from my friends and my personal life, and I feel like I thought I was holding work with an open hand. And I think I was. A friend of mine reminded me recently that's of something I had said recently, um, which was I had said to them, well, it's just a job. You can always get another one. And in the, in the aftermath of what's been happening in my life, I was like, you know what? When I said that, I meant it. And I still do think that and believe that because your employer is not your friend, they're not your family. And yeah, at the end of the day, you are a line item. Sometimes when you get let go, it is absolutely not personal.
Mhm.
But I'm the kind of person that doesn't operate like that. Everything to me is personal. And
Yeah.
so it's just a tough reality to me. Um, but I'm gonna like pivot to something a bit different. I think that this is an interesting moment in time with many people many people in the job market right now are going to be going into into their next role from the FUNemployment position. People aren't like going from job to job to job. A lot of people are unemployed right now, and they're going to be entering their next job from a state of unemployment. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see what people do. I saw a statistic today, and I'll have to go back and double check it, but it was like 41% of people are planning to start a business in 2023.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And I think that those two things are absolutely connected. I think,
Yeah.
where we can take a note from Gen Z, or I think something interesting that's happening between Gen Z and millennials right now is that Gen Z is looking at us and saying, I don't, why are you doing this 9 to 5 thing? Like, we
Yeah.
don't get it. We don't like it. Like, they understand that it's how the world works, but they can see a different vision for the world, and they're like, why would I do a 9 to 5 making $60,000 a year, you know, working for the man when I could create content and maybe make $80,000 a year on TikTok, working 2 to 3 hours a day on my own time, on my own schedule. Like, why would I do the 9 to 5 thing? And I think that that is going to force employers to operate differently in the future. I just think people are reimagining what a career looks like. I think we're going to see a wave of people being freelance, self-employed,
Yeah.
starting their own businesses. I think there's just so many other avenues. And our generation, we like at least in college, or in my young adult life, nobody encouraged me to start a business.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever encouraged me to be a freelancer. it's just not how it was done, at least not in my circles and in, I mean, our the boomers didn't start their own businesses, a lot of them. They did the 9 to 5 thing and it worked for them. They were able to afford homes, they were able to start families, they were able to afford their life. And our generation and the generations behind us are growing up in a very different reality, and we have to adapt. And we can't see a way forward using that path.
Yeah. For me, it's still the struggle of just not growing up with those examples and feeling like I do need the stability of a 9 to 5. And I think that the younger generation will show us that there is stability in something outside of a 9 to 5. And so I think that's why, I mean, you and I are doing, we're approaching the unemployment, fun employment stage of our
Mhm.
lives with kind of the same mindset, but just different outcomes. I know right now that I don't want to start my own business, and I don't think that that's a forever thing. And you've been in Atlanta for a little bit longer. You've been a lot longer. You've been very established there for a while.
Yeah. When you were talking about 6 months ago moving to New York, like 6 months ago, you didn't, and being stuck in Nashville, 6 months ago, you
Hmm.
didn't know you were going to lose your job. 6 months later, you maybe had an inkling and you had a
Hmm.
fear that that could happen, but you created your own momentum by
Yeah.
saying, I am going to move to this city that I
Hmm.
have always wanted to live, and I am going to be there and try to align myself more with what I think I want my life to be like and be in a place where I can grow my career.
Yeah.
No, you didn't want it to exactly look like this, but you took things into your own hands over 6 months ago.
Hmm.
Like, in a sense, you set yourself up for this moment of being let go, and for this moment in time, you know, to be like, okay, I'm in the place I need to be. I'm I moved here to change. I moved here to grow. I moved here to get outside of my comfort zone and to try something new. And you and your husband were an inspiration to me when you guys did that. I mean, I was telling my husband almost every night, like, okay, where are we gonna move to? Like I was,
Yes.
like, but I was in, but what I realized was I don't necessarily need to move cities, but I want to make moves in my life.
Yeah.
Not the physical move for us right now, maybe one day, but I just wanted to be open to all the shifts and changes that would align me with what I wanted. And I think that you really inspired me, you guys, and just like
Oh,
your
thanks.
grit to get there and to do the thing. And I mean, I was like jazzed for months when you guys did it. And I was telling my husband every day, like, I was like, it's, 2 more weeks and they're moving. And he's like, okay.
That is a great point, and thank you for being so supportive and encouraging throughout all those phone calls leading up to it where I was like, I don't know, I don't know.
I was jazzed for you. And yeah, you were nervous.
So scared and nervous and anxious, and of course there are hard days. I think like anybody, I show a lot of the highlight reel on social media, and people are like, yeah, girl, doing your thing. You're always meant to be. Of course you're there, no surprise, but like it's still hard. There are a lot of things that are different, and I'm getting used to them. So for me to lose my job at the same time,
Yes.
that's also hard. But what immediately went through my mind as I'm sitting on a phone call being told your position is no longer needed, I verbally said, well, good for me for already putting myself into a better position. So if there was any advice for, I mean, not even for people who are scared of getting let go or just feeling like they're not in the right place work-wise, I would just say always be prepared. I didn't necessarily know that I would get let go, but I was in a place of feeling like I don't think this is forever. And so
Hmm.
even if I'm not finding my next opportunity right now, work-wise, then something else needs to change. And
Yeah.
that something else for me was just putting myself in a different location. And honestly, thank God.
Yeah.
Because 6 months ago, I did not know that this was going to happen. And had I not made this move, the physical move,
Yep.
then this would look a lot differently for me. So if there is anything in your life where you've been thinking about it, like Dalian, I know that you've been thinking about this business long before the idea even came to the forefront of your mind. Make small steps now to just do it, and you'll feel
Yep.
so much more proud of yourself. You'll feel so much more, I don't know. I don't know if it's less anxious, but I know that on days when it's so hard to be here in New York, I know we see a lot of like magical moments on social media and on TV, but there are definitely days when it's a lot harder to live in New York than it is to live in Nashville. Nashville was a
Yeah.
breeze for me, but in Nashville, I feel like I could never just relax and settle because I always knew that New York was in the back of my head. If you're sitting there and you're like, I'm working this 9 to 5, but I have this business idea in my head, go ahead and start working on it. It doesn't mean that you have to quit your job today,
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
business. Like,
Don't quit your job.
no, take the steps. Like, we're also not sitting here saying that it's cool to do everything unpaid. It's cool to not have an income right now. Like, if you can have an income, that's great. Maybe hold on to it, but like make the gradual steps to get to where you want to be.
The business that I'm building right now is a dream and an idea that has been in my heart and mind for a while. And being let go of my full-time job presented the moment for me to enter into that dream that I had been dreaming for a while and not knowing how to execute on it and how to really get it going. Um, and and I do have to caveat too. I know that I'm in a very fortunate and privileged position to be able to do that, because my husband is still employed, and so, we're able to like pay our rent. Um, and that is supporting me being able to start my business. And it would be impossible were it not for him and his support. So I mean, that's a huge caveat. I know that not everybody has that kind of support in their life and that they can do that. And not everybody wants to. I don't think being a business owner is for everybody. But for
Yeah.
me personally, just like entering into this phase of my life and being able to take this risk, it just feels so good, feels so right for me. And Yeah, it's a process that started long ago.
Yeah, I agree. For me too. I mean, sometimes I think that our subconscious knows what we need and what we want before we really come to terms with it. And
Definitely. I just think it presents such an interesting opportunity to pause, reevaluate your life, and yeah, just take the steps that you want to take to get to where you want to go. And I'm glad we're talking about this. I think it's tough. It's just a tough thing to go through, whether you feel really connected to your job or not. At the end of the day, we all feel connected to our self-worth. We want to feel valued. We want to feel respected. And nobody likes to be told that they're a number on a spreadsheet and that they're replaceable.
yeah,
And even though that's the truth, it feels terrible. It feels terrible.
yeah,
Um,
it really does.
and I think there's no way to prepare for it. Um, but is there anything you wish you had known? Like, is there anything if you could have
A
prepared?
lot.
You do? Like, I feel like I couldn't have really prepared for it other than financially. Maybe I could have prepared for it.
Financially, I think you can prepare for it.
Yes.
Um, I mean, of course, obviously. I'll say I was a trend designer, a stylist. That doesn't sound like a very needed position, especially when a company is not doing well. I wish that I had focused on the parts of my job that were more sales producing instead of the things that were behind the scenes and nobody could see.
Okay.
And I didn't have that knowledge. I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have an inkling. I didn't have somebody tell me, like, you're on the chopping block. Like, I don't think anybody gets that. But I do feel like I had the whereabouts to know that things weren't going well. Of course, they're going to be focusing on sales. I had a gut instinct that what I was spending most of my time working on wasn't being seen.
Mm.
And it's just such a fine line in a workplace to practice humility, but also to like stand up for yourself and make your work known, make yourself known. And I think moving forward, I will make myself known.
I would say for me, I wish I would have known how to negotiate my severance, and I wish I would have known
Hmm.
sort of the process of how you have to work with the company that just let you go to
Yeah, that's huge.
negotiate your severance or negotiate what is right and fair to you, and that
Yep.
you're going to be sort of put on the spot to do that in a very vulnerable and emotional state. And I
Yeah.
basically, you'll gather, I basically did it all wrong. And I wish I had some insight, and some knowledge about how to do it, um,
Yeah.
well. And I wish I had known that, like, I could take a beat. I didn't have to sign anything right away. I didn't have to do anything right away. But I was, made to feel that way. And because I had not anticipated the moment whatsoever, and because nobody had ever coached me about what to do, I got, I got what I got because I didn't even know how to advocate for myself in that moment.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel good that when you got let go, I was able to be like, no, no, no. You go back to them and you ask for what is fair. And your situation was also entirely different because you had been at the company for 6 years. So you deserved, there was something you deserved, and there is, you know, certain levels of what is right and what is wrong, especially in that situation. And for me to like be able to just tell you that, and for you to get the severance that you asked for, made me feel like, okay, it was not all, it wasn't all lost.
No, I think the whole point of this is just that this is a moment in time where you never think it's going to be you.
Yeah,
And so you're sitting in that meeting and it's like an out of body experience. And you're like literally looking at the camera for us. For me it was done virtually.
yeah.
And it's just like
What is
it
happening?
for two bodies. I can't even explain it. It's
Yes.
like, wait, is this me? Me. Like you're letting go of me. Like, because you feel so much
Are we
value.
waiting for someone else to get on this call? Because what's going on?
Like, yeah, this is just another normal day. What's going on? Literally, like there's a very tangible piece of advice. Save your work. You are in a creative field and you need that work later on
Yes.
to find another job or to
Save
build a
everything
portfolio.
on a hard drive.
Save your
Yes.
work weekly. I mean,
Yes.
I had it, thank God I was let go working remote in a different state. I still had all of my equipment,
Your computer.
still had my
Yeah.
laptop. I spent hours getting all of my work.
I do have an unrelated bone to pick with you.
Oh, what's
On the first episode, I gave a whole spiel about my situation with the A Goldie jeans. And then I see on Instagram you telling everybody that you're gonna buy some A Goldie jeans. And I'm like, I just told
yeah.
her My
No,
whole saga.
it's your body and my body's my body.
I know.
I didn't say the jeans were bad for everybody. I
I
just
know.
said, like, if you're buying 4 pairs and they're still not right, you need to let it go. We did not have that conversation. And then I was just like, I'm going to go out and buy A jeans. No, I had already rented them from Nuuly. They
Okay.
were in my box. And that is
Okay.
honestly the best. Like, we could have a whole episode about like renting clothes and even like Nuuly, just specifically Nuuly.
Please
But
sponsor
are they
us.
are they paying for any ads? No, not yet. Anyways, I had really been needing some new jeans, but jeans are so hard to find, and I didn't have the time. I do not have the time right now to be like sourcing and shopping for my own self. And with Nuuly, I was like, this is so great. I'm going to try some jeans from Nuuly. I normally don't keep a lot of stuff when I rent because, like you said, like at the end of the month, I'm like, no, I've worn it enough. I'm good. These jeans, I've been wearing them every other day. And if you're wearing
Okay,
something,
that's good.
no, if you're wearing something that much, like
Okay.
go ahead and keep them. And the great thing about it is like they have probably been dry cleaned a million times, but they still look and feel good as new. So they are actually about $70 off if I were to keep them and buy them from Nuuly instead of buying them brand new.
I know. Are they stiff?
They're actually not as stiff as I thought. Like
Did you
they're
have to size up?
I did size up.
Okay, I think that's the trick because
Yep.
the pair that I like and wear the most is a size up.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
My exact size is squeezing the life out of me.
Yeah,
So
and
I guess
that's
that's my fault. I mean, who likes
I
sizing up?
mean, nobody likes to
Not
size up. So like I'm not gonna say that that's all your fault. Like that's their fault. But
yes.
trend right now, thank God, is to wear them a little bit baggier. And
Yes.
also, the trend for how these manufacturers are making them is to squeeze the living daylights out of your waistband
Yeah.
and you can't sit in them. So naturally, like any pair of jeans or pants you get right now, you're gonna have to size up. Even if you yourself are not sized up, like even if you haven't
Yeah,
gained weight, like these pants are just made different these days.
I agree. I agree. Well, we'll have to put a pin in sizing.
And
Put a pin in it for a little corporate speak.
Newly, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Circle
we'll
back
get
to that on another on
we'll,
another episode of Trending with Dalian and Tinsley. Okay, have a great week.
bye.
Bye.